Hi, and welcome to the first video of the series of Namibian matric past papers. So in this series we'll just be working through past papers. I'll be doing sort of a video memo of each of them. And we're starting in 2012 paper 1. Okay, the first question is, a baker uses 320 grams of flour to bake one loaf of bread. How many kilograms of flour are required for 120 loaves? Okay, so this is a straightforward ratio problem. So we have the ratio of flour to bread. So 325 grams of flour gives us one loaf of bread. Now if we want 120 loaves of bread, we need to find out how much flour that is. So I'm just going to call that x. Now what we can do is we can just cross multiply. So 1 times x is x, and 325 times 120 is what goes on this side, times 120. And 1 times x, let's just write 1x so we can see where we come from. Okay, now 1x is just the same as x. Let's rip out a calculator to do the calculation. Okay, so we've got 325 times 120, so 39,000. So x equals 39,000. And in this case, remember to put grams because this is grams, right? Because we know 325 grams is one loaf of bread. We're asked for how many kilograms. Alright, so in this case we need to convert this to kilograms. So how do we convert grams to kilograms? Well, we know that is divided by 1,000. So we're going to have 39 kilograms. Because if we divide that by 1,000 to get to kilograms, then we get 39 kilograms. Okay, so that was question A. Let's switch colors for question B. When mixing the ingredients for 800 loaves, he uses 300 liters of water. How many milliliters of water are required for one loaf? Okay, so again, we've got loaves, and in this case we've got water. So 800 loaves gives us 300 water. 300 water. And now this is in liters. Right, so what we can do is we can change it to millimeters straight away. So from liters to millimeters, we multiply with 1,000. Okay, so that is loaves to milliliters of water. Now we don't know how many milliliters of water, so we don't know that, is required for making one loaf. Okay, and from here again we do the same thing. 800 times x is 800x. And 300,000 times 1 is 300,000. Good, now to get x, we just divide both sides by 800. Those cancel out and we've got x equals, and again, let's rip out the calculator. That's what they're there for. We're going to say 300,000 divided by 800. And that gives us 375. 375, and remember to put your units so that you can get your full 100% at the end of the exam. Alright, question B. Let's get to question C. For fruit loaves, the ratio, in this case by mass, of flour to fruit to other ingredients, because we know we're going to be working with flour to fruit to other ingredients, is 8 to 7 to 5. So 8, 7, 5. And that's all in mass, so it can be grams or kilograms as long as they're all the same unit. Now what mass of fruit is required for a mixture with a total mass of 160? So if all of this together weighs 160, how much fruit is required? Okay, so we're going to say we've got a total mass of 160, and we have to divide that between this many parts. So that's 8 plus 7 is 15, plus 5 is 20 parts. That'll give us the value of 1 part. But we want to know what fruit is. So we times that 1 part by 7 because fruit is 7 parts. And again, we can just work this out in the calculator. I believe that should be 560 if I just look at that. But let's always make sure. 160 divided by 20 times 7. 56. There we go. See, it's good to choose a calculator so you don't mess it up. So 56, and we're looking for kilograms. Kilograms. There we go. Alright, last question for this video, question D. See that in red, just keep going down the list. In 2011, 45% of the baker's total expenses of 70,000 was for the cost of fuel. and the remainder was for the cost of materials. Okay, so 45% of this was fuel, and the remainder, which is 55%, right, was the cost of materials. In 2012, the cost of fuel increased by 4%, and the cost of materials increased by 10%. Calculate the percentage increase in these total expenses. Okay, in a question like this, the most difficult part is just keeping everything in your head as you're reading along. So I would suggest just writing down everything as you see it. Okay, so 45% of 70,000. So let's do 2011 first. In 2011, we had the fuel expenses, fuel, and we had cost of materials. I'm just going to call it COM for cost of materials. So fuel was 45% of 70,000. All right, and the rest, so either you can say 70,000 minus the fuel, or you could just say 55% of 70,000. I'm going to stick with the 70,000 minus the fuel because we're going to work that out anyway here. So 45% of 70,000, how do we work that out? Well, we say 45%, so percent just means per 100. So 45 out of 100 times 70,000. So that is 31,500. Okay, so 31,500. And the rest, the 70,000 minus the 31,500 will be the cost of materials. Okay, so now we know the fuel was 31,500, so we can just subtract that. So we're just going to say 70,000 minus 31,500. That's 38,500. 38,500. All right, so we know that was the cost of fuel in 2011. That was the cost of materials in 2011. Now let's look at 2012. So 2012, what happens in 2012? The cost of fuel increased by 4%. Okay, so we're going to increase this value by 4%. How do we do that? Well, we take the original cost, then we add 4% of the original cost to itself. Okay, so let's see. So 4% of 31,500, again we can work that out. So 4% of 31,500 is 1260. Okay, so I'm just going to write everything down here. So we get 31,500 plus this value we said is 1260. Let me just make sure that's right. 1260. Okay, so add that, and if we add that to the original 31,500, we get 32,760. 32,760. So that's the cost of fuel in 2012. Now the cost of materials in 2012 will do the same thing. We had 38,500, and how much did that increase by? By 10%, right? So we add 10% of the 38,500 to that. Okay, 10% of 38,500, that's 3,850. So we say 38500 plus 3850, and we work that out. So 38,500 plus the 10% of 38,500 is 42,350. 42,350. Now let's add these two together to get the total value for 2012. So if we add to that the cost of fuel, we get 75,110. So 75,110. That's the total cost. It's total cost for 2012. And the total cost for 2011, let's do 2012. Total cost for 2011 was what? We already know that. That was 70,000. That's the total cost for 2011. Okay, so what is the question? Calculate the percentage increase in its total expenses. The percentage increase, the general formula for that is the new value minus the old value divided by the old value times 100 to get the percentage. Okay, so our new value, 2012 value, is 75,110 minus the original value, the old value, 70,000, divided by the old value of 70,000, and then we're going to multiply that by 100 to get it into percentage. Okay, so new value minus the old value, and then we divide that by the old value, and then we multiply that by 100. So that's a 7.3% increase. 7.3% increase in total expenses. Alright, I hope this made a lot of sense. That was question 1. In the next video, we'll look at question 2. So we're just going to be doing one question at a time. Some videos will be very short, some will be a little bit longer. And remember, this is the November 2012 paper 1 for the Namibian syllabus. I'll see you again shortly.